Gas car, hybrid, EV, total cost of ownership, monthly payment, depreciation, fuel cost per mile, home charging versus public charging. Gas, hybrid, or EV, the ultimate personal finance breakdown comes down to one brutal truth. The cheapest car isn't the one with the best MPG or the lowest price tag. It's the one that matches your life so well that you don't pay hidden taxes in depreciation, insurance, and charging reality. Let's break this down. Most people think this decision is simple. Gas is cheapest to buy, hybrid is the safe middle, EV is cheapest to run. But here's the pattern interrupt. An EV can be the cheapest vehicle you'll ever own or the most expensive good deal you ever bought, depending on where you charge and how long you keep it. If you want to understand cars before you buy them, you're in the right place. Subscribe, because every car has a story, and I'm here to decode it so you don't waste money. Picture this. You're not shopping because you love cars. You're shopping because you're tired of the same monthly pain, gas, repairs, and that feeling like you're always one surprise away from a bad week. So you open 3 tabs. One tab, a gas car that's cheaper up front. Second tab, the hybrid version that promises 45 to 55 mpg. Third tab, an EV that everyone claims is basically free to drive. Then you do what every smart person does. You try to do the math. And the math gets messy because everyone online compares the wrong thing. So here's how we're doing this like adults. 4 buckets only. The 4 that decide whether you actually save money. 1. Purchase price and financing cost. 2. Depreciation, the silent killer. 3. Energy cost per mile, gas versus electricity but in your real world. 4. Insurance, maintenance, and repair risk. And I'm going to keep this grounded in verifiable sources where possible. EPA/fueleconomy.gov for efficiency numbers, your utility bill for electricity pricing, and mainstream cost studies like AAA/Edmunds-style total cost frameworks for what categories matter most. The numbers vary by model and region, but the structure doesn't. All right, bucket 1. Purchase price and financing, the cost you feel every month. This is where gas cars look like the winner instantly. A comparable gas model is often cheaper than its hybrid version and sometimes a lot cheaper than an EV. But here's what most people miss. You don't buy a car, you buy a payment. And payments are not just price, they're price plus interest rate plus term. So 2 people can buy the same EV and have totally different financial outcomes depending on, did you get an incentive or not? Did you lease or finance? What interest rate did you get? Did you buy new or used? And here's a new fact a lot of buyers still don't internalize. Incentives don't just help you, they distort the used market too. If a new EV effectively costs less after incentives, the used EV has to drop to compete. That's one reason EV depreciation has been more volatile than hybrids in a lot of markets. So when someone says EV is cheaper, the correct question is cheaper to run or cheaper to own, because you don't get depreciation back, it's gone. Bucket 2, depreciation, the cost you don't feel monthly, but it's usually the biggest cost. Depreciation is the money you lose just for owning the car while time passes. And I'll say it bluntly, for most people, depreciation beats fuel cost as the #1 ownership cost over 3 to 5 years. This is where hybrids have been quietly strong. Hybrids often hold value well because demand is broad and the use case is universal. You save fuel without changing your routine. EVs can be cheaper to operate, but depreciation can swing harder because new prices can move quickly, incentives change, and tech improvements make older EVs feel outdated faster than gas cars. Gas cars can depreciate normally, but if fuel prices spike and everyone rushes towards efficiency, some gas models get punished more. So when someone says EV is cheaper, the correct question is cheaper to run or cheaper to own. Because you don't get depreciation back, it's gone. Bucket 3, energy cost per mile, the part everyone argues about, usually wrong. Here's the correct way to think about energy cost. Don't compare MPG to MPGE like they're the same language. Compare cost per mile. For a gas car, cost per mile equals gas price divided by real MPG. For an EV, cost per mile equals electricity price times kilowatt hours per mile. And you can get the EV's efficiency from EPA data. In the US, fueleconomy.gov shows kilowatt-hours 100 miles, which is the cleanest way to do EV math. Now, let's do a realistic example you can adjust. Assume you drive 12,000 miles a year. Gas is $4 per gallon, home electricity is 15 cents per kilowatt-hour, and your EV uses about 30 kilowatt-hours per 100 miles. That's a common ballpark for many crossovers. Sedans can be lower, trucks can be higher. Check the EPA kilowatt-hours 100 miles for the exact EV. Gas car example, if your gas car gets 30 mpg, $4 divided by 30 equals $0.133 per mile. Over 12,000 miles, that's about $1,600 per year in fuel. Hybrid example, if your hybrid gets 45 mpg, $4 divided by 45 equals $0.089 per mile. Over 12,000 miles, that's about $1,067 per year. So hybrid savings versus gas in this example is roughly $533 per year, about $44 a month. Now, EV example, and here's the new detail people forget: charging losses. Charging isn't 100% efficient. Some energy is lost as heat in the charger and battery. Real-world losses vary, but it's common to plan for roughly 10% overhead for home charging.
So if your EV uses 30 kilowatt-hours per 100 miles, you might buy closer to 33 kilowatt-hours per 100 miles from the wall. At 15 cents per kilowatt-hour, 33 kilowatt-hours per 100 miles costs $4.95 per 100 miles. That's $0.0495 per mile. Over 12,000 miles, that's about $594 per year. So in this example, gas about $1,600 per year, hybrid about $1,067 per year, EV home charging about $594 per year. That looks like EV wins easily, right? Here's where it gets interesting. That EV win depends on one thing: home charging price, because public fast charging can be dramatically more expensive than home electricity. If you're paying, say, 40 cents to 60 cents per kilowatt hour on fast chargers, common in many areas, your EV energy cost per mile can start looking a lot closer to a hybrid, sometimes shockingly close. Run the same math at 45 cents per kilowatt hour. 33 kilowatt hours per 100 miles times $45 equals $14.85 per 100 miles. That's $0.148 per mile. That's worse than the 30 miles per gallon gas car in our example. So the EV question is not EVs are cheap to fuel. The EV question is, do you have cheap, reliable home or work charging? If yes, EV energy is a huge advantage. If no, EV energy cost can be a disappointment. Bucket 4, insurance, maintenance, and repair reality, the surprise bill category. Maintenance first. Gas car maintenance. Oil changes, transmission services, spark plugs, belts, fluids, exhaust components over time, plus normal tires, brakes, and suspension. Hybrid maintenance, you still have an engine, so you still have oil changes, filters, coolant, spark plugs on schedule. Hybrids often reduce brake wear because regenerative braking does a lot of slowing, but hybrids add hybrid-specific components, a battery, inverter, or power electronics, extra cooling needs. On mature systems like Toyota's mainstream hybrids, the long-term record is excellent, but it's still a system. EV maintenance, no oil changes, no spark plugs, no exhaust system. That's real savings. But EVs are not maintenance-free. They still eat tires, need brake fluid service, cabin filters, coolant in some systems, and suspension parts just like anything else. Also, EVs tend to be heavier and can wear tires faster depending on torque and alignment. Now, insurance, and this is where a lot of EV savings dies. Some EVs cost more to insure because repair costs can be higher. Battery safety procedures, sensors, expensive body parts, longer repair times. Hybrids can also be higher depending on model and theft risk in your area, but EV insurance surprises people more often. So before you decide, get insurance quotes for the exact VINs or at least the exact trims. I've seen people save $70 a month on fuel and then spend $80 more on insurance. That's not savings, that's a different kind of bill. Now turn this into a decision system you can actually use. First question, how many miles do you drive per year? If you drive low miles, like 6,000 to 9,000 per year, fuel savings shrink, depreciation and insurance dominate. In that case, paying a big premium for hybrid or EV can take a long time to earn back, unless you got a great deal. If you drive high miles, 15,000 to 25,000 plus, fuel savings become real. That's where hybrids and EVs can actually pay you back. Second question, can you charge at home or at work reliably? If yes, EV becomes a serious financial contender. If no, hybrid often becomes the safest efficiency without lifestyle change answer. Third question, how long will you keep the car? If you keep cars 2 to 4 years, depreciation is king. Resale matters more than fuel. Hybrids often do well here because demand is broad. If you keep cars 6 to 10 years, fuel and maintenance matter more. EVs can win big if you can charge cheap and keep depreciation under control. Fourth question, are you comparing the right prices? Don't compare gas versus hybrid versus EV using MSRP only. Compare your actual out-the-door price minus what you realistically expect to sell it later, plus your real energy cost, plus insurance. That's the grown-up math. Here's the simplest ultimate breakdown formula. Total cost over 5 years equals purchase price minus resale value plus energy cost over 5 years plus insurance over 5 years plus maintenance or repairs over 5 years plus home charger if needed. Now, quick scenario answers, because most people just want to know where they fit. If you have home charging, drive average to high miles, and plan to keep the car, a pure EV often wins financially because the cost per mile can be very low and maintenance is usually lower. If you can't charge at home, but you drive moderate to high miles, a hybrid often wins financially because you get strong MPG without paying the public charging penalty or the lifestyle friction. If you drive low miles and want the lowest total commitment, a gas car can still be the cheapest move, especially if the hybrid premium is high and you won't drive enough to earn it back. And here's the final truth that keeps you from getting manipulated by comments. The best drivetrain is personal finance plus lifestyle, not ideology. If you tell me 4 things, your annual miles, your local gas price, your electricity price, and whether you can charge at home, I can run this breakdown with your numbers so you're not guessing.